I was sold to a dark magic livestream. A place where the rich bet on which girl they think will survive. The stakes? Who could stay alive the longest? Waiting for us were vicious ghosts, zombies, and parasitic worms. But they didn't know. I wasn't just a priestess from an ancient order. I was a master of old-school martial arts. I shook my head and sat up, finding myself in a spacious, sealed room. The walls looked strange. I squinted, staring at them for a long time before realizing that 3 of the walls were roll-up garage doors. The remaining wall was covered by a massive electronic screen. Other than that, the only thing in the entire room was a table in the corner with a few pink backpacks on it. Ding. Welcome, everyone, to our Death Hunt livestream. A sudden electronic voice made me jump. At that moment, the other girls, who had been sprawled all over the floor, began to stir. They looked at each other, their faces filled with confusion and fear. I glanced at their clothes, tight sports bras and shorts, with numbered tags stuck to their chests, backs, and even their arms. At first glance, they looked like a team of Olympic athletes. I quickly looked down at my own outfit. A black athletic set with a large number 7 on the chest. Bidding will now commence. We have a total of 20 contestants in this event. If your chosen contestant survives to the end, you will win the entire prize pool. You now have 5 minutes to place your bets. The announcement blared from a speaker overhead, and several lines of bright red text appeared on the screen. I stood up and stared at the flashing words, anger flaring up inside me. Son of a bitch. They weren't betting with money, they were betting with 20 human lives. My name is Luna Reed. I'm a priestess, a true disciple of a hidden order. Our order is split into 2 branches. The public-facing branch has entered the modern world, opening temples, recruiting followers, and becoming a well-known spiritual sanctuary. The inner branch, my branch, remains hidden deep in the mountains, with knowledge passed down from master to apprentice. The public branch mainly handles ceremonies, creates talismans, and does basic metaphysical readings. Our inner branch, however, is responsible for vanquishing demons, capturing ghosts, and exorcising evil. From the age of 3, we begin rigorous training in traditional martial arts. I ended up here because of my friend Ethan. His uncle had set up a viciously cursed feng shui arrangement in his home, nearly wiping out his entire family. After I saved them, his uncle faked his own death and vanished off the face of the earth. Ethan said his uncle had a trusted associate who would definitely know his whereabouts. The problem was, this guy was a mob boss who ran some very shady businesses behind the scenes. He was cautious and sharp, and there was only one way for an unknown girl to get close to him. So here I was, along with a group of other young women, with numbers taped to our bodies, looking lost and helpless. Ding. Bidding has now closed. Announcing the results. Number 7, $10 million. Number 1, $9.5 million. Number 9, $6.8 million. Number 19, $1.88 million. The total prize pool has reached $159,800,000. Instantly, all eyes turned to me. I bit my lip, feeling how absurd and surreal this all was. I had been learning to catch ghosts and drive out evil since I was 4, dedicating my life to ridding the world of demons and protecting the peace. I never imagined that the most evil things in this world weren't demons or ghosts, but people. Game rules. You can spend money to purchase survival supplies for your chosen contestant. You can also spend money to set obstacles for opposing contestants. There can be only one survivor in this game. There are 5 backpacks on the table. Inside, you will find water, bread, and a dagger. You now have 10 minutes to seize the supplies. Begin. After a moment of silence, several girls were the first to rush the table with the backpacks. The room quickly descended into chaos, filled with a chorus of screams, curses, and cries of pain. Number 1 was clearly a cut above the rest in terms of skill. After snatching a backpack, she quickly retreated to a corner, glaring warily at the other girls. I was standing not far from her. Seeing me just standing there with my hands at my sides, the girl opened her mouth, her voice a bit hoarse. Why aren't you fighting for one? I turned to get a better look at her. She had fair skin, deep-set eyes, and a very high nose bridge. She was a beautiful girl who didn't look Han Chinese, more like she was from the Miao ethnic group. When I didn't answer, number 1 lowered her gaze. The things in here are terrifying. If you don't get any supplies, you'll die quickly. Hearing this, my eyes flickered. You know about the things in here? She clammed up, clutching the backpack she held to her chest even tighter. Not even Ethan knew the specifics of what went on in this place. All he knew was that girls who went in rarely, if ever, came out alive. And that mob boss had a group of very strange people working for him. Ethan suspected they were dark sorcerers. He was sure the curse on his family's home was connected to them. Countdown commencing in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. As the electronic voice counted down, the girls' fighting grew even more frantic. I sighed, glanced at the brawling mob, and then walked over to the table. The girls were a tangled mess on the floor, pulling hair, biting, scratching. It was a brutal scene. Meanwhile, a few messages popped up on the big screen. Number 9 is the little Spitfire I bet on. Look at her go, already got a backpack. Number 1 is pretty good too. I'll put down $50,000 to send her a bag of beef jerky. I don't like that number 7. No idea why her bid is so high. She's just standing there like an idiot. I stared at the screen, dumbfounded. What the hell? 50 grand for a bag of beef jerky? I hate number 7. That calm, disdainful look on her face. I want to see her cry. I'll pay $200,000 to send one of Master A's corpse hounds after her. I'd heard of drug-sniffing dogs, but what the hell was a corpse hound? And who was Master A? Beep. Supply grab has ended. You now have a 10-minute rest period. After 10 minutes, the hunt will officially begin. The girls all found corners to catch their breath and rest. Many had cuts and bruises on their faces and bodies. Number 9 had several clumps of hair torn out and scratches all over her neck. She was sitting on the floor, quietly wiping away tears. A fire was burning in my gut, and I couldn't suppress it. Once everyone had settled down, I walked over to the wooden table and kicked it hard. With a crack, the table split in two. All the girls stared at me, dumbfounded. I broke off the 4 table legs, then walked over to number 1 and held out my hand. Let me borrow your dagger. I'll give it right back. Number 1 stared at me, her eyes filled with hesitation and conflict. What? What are you going to do? Ich renne her. I'm going to get you all out of here alive. Get us out alive. Number 1 laughed so hard that tears welled up in her eyes. She looked at me coldly, as if she were looking at a dead person. Do you have any idea what comes out when those doors open? Someone on the screen just said they're paying $200,000 to send a corpse hound after you. Do you know what that means? You don't know anything. What makes you think you can talk about getting us out of here? This was a dark web base, an underground castle. The rich had grown tired of watching beasts fight girls, so they created this place and swapped the beasts for zombies, vicious ghosts, parasitic goo worms, corpse beetles, and other dark creatures. Instead of a clean death from a wild animal's bite, watching pretty girls get tormented by these abominations was apparently far more thrilling and exciting for those sicko millionaires. This base employed a lot of dark sorcerers. Some specialized in raising zombies, others in cultivating goo worms. And during each death hunt livestream, the wealthy patrons could purchase the meticulously raised parasites and ghosts from these sorcerers. The sorcerers got 70% of the money, and the base took 30%. To make their creations stand out, these sorcerers were constantly coming up with new ways to cultivate their vile creatures. Do you get it now? Do you still think you can get us out of here? A mocking smile appeared on number 1's beautiful face, as if she was waiting for me to be scared witless and burst into tears. My response was to hold my palm out in front of her again. Lend me the dagger. Number 1 stared at me for a long moment before finally opening her backpack and handing me the dagger. I quickly took it, rushed to the corner, and sharpened the 4 table legs I'd piled there until they were sharp and deadly. After sharpening the legs, I used the dagger to chop the tabletop into more than a dozen pieces, sharpening one end of each. These wooden stakes weren't as sturdy as the table legs, but they were better than nothing. When I was done, I returned the dagger to number 1, then handed out the sharpened pieces of wood to the girls who hadn't gotten a backpack. The atmosphere was quiet. The girls took the wooden stakes with red-rimmed eyes, and a few couldn't help but start crying. At that moment, the electronic screen began to flash wildly. Interesting. Very interesting. This is the first time I've seen a girl as interesting as number 7. Looks like number 7 wants to be the savior. Well, I'll help her out. I'll pay $300,000 for one of Master B's demon babies. I'll pay $500,000 for one of Master C's snakes for number 7. $1 million for one of Master A's green-haired zombies for number 7. The screen kept flashing. I looked at the amounts and couldn't help but twitch my lips. I had no idea my life was worth so much. Number 1 looked at me with despair, and after a long moment, she managed a bitter smile. Number 7, if you can't take it anymore, I'm willing to help you end it. Sometimes living is more terrifying than death. A wave of sobs filled the room. Amidst the cold, electronic countdown, the 3 roll-up doors began to rise slowly. The hunt had officially begun. The girls scrambled back, pressing themselves against the wall. Many were so terrified they could barely hold their wooden stakes. The monsters hadn't even arrived, and several had already dropped their weapons. Number 13 crouched down, clutching her head and screaming, "I want to go home. Please let me go home. My parents can pay you a ransom. We have money. We can give you $500,000. $1 million. $1 million is fine too. Please, just let me go back." The other girls were already on the verge of a breakdown. After number 13 started, several of them threw down their stakes and collapsed into a crying heap. I walked over to number 13, grabbed her arm, and pulled her to her feet. "All of you shut up. Didn't you see the screen? There's $160 million in the prize pool. And that's not even counting the money those idiots will spend on monsters and food later. That's $160 million. One game, $160 million. What good is your family's $500,000 ransom? Wake up. If you don't want to die, pick up your stakes and get behind me." Number 13 looked at me in terror, her small, palm-sized face deathly pale. After a long moment of crying, she finally picked up her stake, sniffling. I felt a pang of pity. She looked like she was barely 20, still just a kid. And now, allow me to introduce our first wave of monsters, walking corpses. Have you all seen American TV shows? These walking corpses are pretty much the same as the ones in The Walking Dead. If you get scratched or bitten, you'll be infected with the corpse poison and die. But it's worth noting that stabbing them in the brain won't kill them. Enjoy yourselves, girls. Tui. Enjoy my ass. I spat a mouthful of saliva at the camera in the corner. These bastards just wanted to see us cry, scream, break down, and lose control, didn't they? Well, I was going to make sure they spent their money and still felt miserable. What are you crying for? If you have the energy to cry, you might as well save it for the monsters. Or at least curse out those assholes. Number 13 was the first to jump up. She put her hands on her hips and started cussing out the screen. "You bastards, born without a mother to raise you. You love watching women scream so much? Are you all eunuchs, unable to make a woman scream yourselves? You bunch of failed abortions. Your mothers would have been better off raising the afterbirth. You don't just look like toilets, you're full of the same crap. You think you're human just because you can get online with your 2 pig trotters? Your mouth stinks so bad, I ought to send you a bottle of Summer's Eve to wash them out." The live chat went silent. Number 13 had been quiet, but when she spoke, she was a force of nature. I watched her pigtails fly as she got more worked up, filled with admiration. This girl was a talent, an absolute talent. The normally active chat stayed quiet for a long time, until a user named Karma Queen broke the silence. "Hahaha, number 13's not bad. I like her. Send her a Gatorade to soothe her throat." I stared at the familiar username and fell into thought. Could this person be Sophie? Sophie was my friend and apprentice. We were supposed to go undercover in this organization together. So while I was in here getting hunted, she was out there posting in the live chat? And if she was going to post, couldn't she see I was empty-handed, without even a peachwood sword? And she was sending someone else a Gatorade first? How much did a Gatorade cost here anyway? It couldn't be $50,000, could it? That damn spendthrift. After her tirade, number 13's legs stopped shaking and her hands stopped trembling. She cracked her makeshift weapon like a whip and lifted her head. So what if I die? I'll take them on. In 18 years, I'll be back as ghosts. Several walking corpses in ragged clothes were shuffling toward us, lurching unsteadily. Strictly speaking, these weren't even zombies. Zombies have 6 levels: stiff, white, green, and flying, all the way up to the drought demon. And depending on their elemental properties, there are also specialized types between green and flying, like bronze-clads, water walkers, and earth burrowers. These walking corpses were likely just bodies that had a breath of life forced into them, reanimation in common terms. It's why in ancient times, when a body was laid out for a wake, someone always had to stand guard to keep cats and mice away. Cats and mice are creatures of een, and can channel spirits. When they crawl over a corpse, they can breathe life into it. A walking corpse moves solely on the breath in its mouth and nose. So dealing with them is simple. Force that breath out and they can't move. The long corridor was dimly lit. I raised my wooden stake defensively. It wasn't until the corpses got closer that I could see their faces. My raised hand lowered. I looked at them sadly, a sour feeling welling up inside me, making me want to cry. Their faces were so decayed you couldn't make out their original features. But their clothes were very familiar, the bright colors, the large numbers on their chests. These walking corpses, like us, were innocent girls who had been sold to this place. Number 7, sister, are we going to end up like that too? Number 13 hid behind me, peeking out with a look of terror at the approaching corpses. Seeing them get closer, I turned and shouted to the girls behind me. Everyone split into 2 lines. Cover your mouths and noses and hold your breath. They won't be able to find you. Now follow my commands. The 2 lines will take turns breathing. Walking corpses are animated by that single breath, which makes them highly sensitive to the breath exhaled by living people. They will mechanically attack any living thing that breathes. As long as you can hold your breath, they're as good as blind and deaf. Nothing to be afraid of. Team 1, breathe. Team 2, hold your breath. The girls on the left immediately started taking deep breaths. As they did, the corpses shambled toward them. Just as they were about to reach them, Team 1, hold your breath. Team 2, breathe. The girls on the right started breathing. The corpses who had been about to pounce, froze, momentarily confused by the disappearance of their targets. A moment later, they strangely detected their prey behind them. They slowly turned around and continued their lumbering advance in the opposite direction. And so, with the 2 lines of girls taking turns breathing, we kite the dozen or so corpses around the room like they were on strings. I stayed in the middle, taking cheap shots at any stragglers. I struck a pressure point on one corpse's chest, then made a fist and pressed hard against several points on its throat. Finally, I used my thumb to force its head back, making it spit out the breath of life. Once the breath was gone, the corpses collapsed like normal bodies, lying motionless on the ground. I took care of all of them in a few quick moves. Before I could even catch my breath, the speaker overhead crackled to life, and the live chat started scrolling furiously. Fuck. I spent $6 million. What is this, some kind of choreographed zombie dance? Very good. I've participated in so many of these death hunts, and you all are the most interesting. Announcer, I'll pay $2 million to double the number of monsters in the next wave. A rustling sound started, and something began moving quickly in our direction. The girls who had survived the walking corpses were just about to celebrate when the sharp-eyed number 13 let out a piercing scream. Ah, snakes. So many snakes. The snakes slithering toward us were of all sizes, big and small, thick and thin. The largest one was almost 7 feet long, its black tongue flicking as it stared at us menacingly. Its body was gray with a single, bright red stripe running down its back, making it look both beautiful and terrifying. I cursed under my breath. This was a king among wraith snakes, a death wraith serpent. Wraith snakes are born from the death chi and yin chi of the dead. They usually only appear in mass graves and burial mounds, and aren't typically very aggressive. But death wraith serpents grow in special burial grounds. The people buried there were tortured before death, and their resentful, violent energy congealed and took the form of these snakes. Death wraith serpents are extremely aggressive. A bite from one makes a person violent and bloodthirsty, and they'll die within 7 hours as their entire body rots away. It's a gruesome death. A peachwood sword, lightning talismans, cinnabar, glutinous rice. I had nothing. I was bare-handed. I could protect myself, sure, but protecting all these girls from a swarm of snakes? That was a pipe dream. Karma Queen. Number 7, run. Run to the right. From the looks of Sophie's message, the base probably hadn't prepared any decent exorcism tools for us. That made sense. These sicko millionaires wanted to watch girls get eaten by monsters, not see someone go on a killing spree. After all, these dark creatures were commodities, selling for hundreds of thousands, even millions. In their eyes, the creatures were probably more valuable than the girls. It takes time to cultivate a monster, but all they had to do to get young girls was kidnap or deceive them. I led the group of girls in a sprint to the right. After running for a few hundred feet down a long, dark corridor, a flicker of light appeared ahead. When we emerged from the corridor, I realized we were in a forest. Trapped in the basement, I'd lost all track of time. Out here in the woods, I realized it was daytime, but the sky was so overcast it was impossible to tell what time it was. Seeing the forest, the color drained from number 1's face. We're going to die. We're all going to die in here. I turned and looked at her seriously. Number 1, what exactly do you know? Yeah, number 1, tell us. The suspense is killing me. We have to stick together now. Those bastards just want to see us kill each other. We can't let them have that. Don't hold back. There's strength in numbers. If you tell us, we can figure out a way to survive. The girls chattered, surrounding number 1. This forest was strange. The air was thick with a peculiar smell. The wraith snakes had pursued us to the entrance of the woods, but then they flicked their tongues and turned back. Clearly, there was something in this forest that they feared. Number 1 bit her lip. I was the survivor from the last round. My grandmother was a Miao Gu witch, and I studied Gu arts with her for a few years. Everyone was a little surprised. I gave a knowing glance at her fingernails. Gu worms prefer cleanliness, so the hands of a Gu practitioner are often much cleaner than a normal person's. I knew she was a Gu practitioner the moment I saw her. That must have been how she survived the last hunt. And the bidding earlier, no wonder number 1 was a solid second place with a high bid of $9.5 million. As for my $10 million bid, who else could it have been but Sophie? There's a Southeast Asian sorcerer living in these woods. As she said this, number 1's eyes reddened. She pulled down the collar of her top, revealing a hideous, swollen scar that ran across her fair chest. He cut open my heart and ripped out my bonded Gu. All the girls gasped. I sighed. With her bonded Gu gone, number 1's life was also nearing its end. Last time he was the final boss. I don't know why he's shown up so early today. We're so unlucky, so damn unlucky. The mood grew heavy, and several girls couldn't help but start sobbing quietly. I patted number 1 on the shoulder and shouted into the air. Karma Queen, I'm hungry. Those green-haired zombies, demon babies, and corpse hounds those idiots had bought for me hadn't even shown up yet. Sophie must have guided me on a path that avoided them. I gestured for the girls to sit down on the grass. What's there to be afraid of? Let's eat first. You're all hungry, right? I'm here, so don't worry. I'll definitely get you all out of here. Number 1 hesitated for a moment, then gritted her teeth and handed me the dagger from her backpack. Number 7, you're much stronger than me. This dagger will be more useful with you than with me. Sophie had generously bought me a case of instant ramen and a case of sausages. I had to admit, this base had its perks. The ramen even came pre-cooked, which I guess is what you get for $80,000 a bowl. The ramen was delivered by a few food delivery robots, one for each girl. As I ate, my heart was bleeding, but I knew I'd eventually take down this whole base. When I did, all that money would be mine. After eating and drinking, everyone's gloomy mood finally lifted a bit. I had talked a big game, but inside, I was worried. A Southeast Asian sorcerer, and one who had consumed number 1's bonded Gu at that. If I had my usual tools, dealing with him would be no problem. But right now, all I had was a bare dagger. I probably couldn't even handle his swarms of insects. My mind heavy with worry, I led the group of girls cautiously through the woods. Of all the dark magic practitioners, Southeast Asian sorcerers were the ones I least wanted to encounter, because they played dirty. Really dirty. The goo witches of Miao territory typically used worms like golden silkworms, 5 poisons, or snake goo. While potent, they were often quite beautiful. The goo worms of Southeast Asian sorcerers, on the other hand, were a whole different story. Lice, corpse beetles, cockroaches, maggots, roundworms, tapeworms, leeches. I seriously suspected that people who lost to Southeast Asian sorcerers weren't beaten, they were grossed out. Who could stand fighting a swarm of maggots? My junior apprentice, Leo, once fought a Southeast Asian sorcerer. He got a roundworm wrapped around his neck, his head was crawling with lice, and the air was filled with flying cockroaches. The worst was the tapeworm, desperately trying to crawl into his mouth and ears. When he got back to the temple, we didn't let him in the house for 2 weeks. My senior even put his bedding in the bathroom, saying he smelled like a toilet anyway. In the end, Leo ran away from home in a rage. He was gone for a month before my senior finally let him back in. The thought of it made me shudder. Terrifying. Absolutely terrifying. What's that sound? Swish. A white shadow darted past us and hid behind a large pine tree. The tail it left exposed was thick and long, its snow-white scales refracting a rainbow of colors. That's a really pretty tail. I breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed this sorcerer had some aesthetic taste. But as beautiful as this white snake was, it was still a goose snake and not to be underestimated. I stood in front of the girls, staring warily at the dense woods. The white snake didn't move. After a long moment, a head peeked out from behind the tree. Number 8. Is that you, number 8? Number 1 trembled, crying out in shock. Her voice startled the head, and it quickly ducked back behind the tree. It was only for a moment, but it was long enough for us to see clearly. It was a young girl with large eyes, sunken cheeks, and ashen skin. Shoo, quiet. I put a finger to my lips, signaling for all the girls to be silent. They immediately clapped their hands over their mouths. After a tense standoff, the person behind the tree lost their patience. A figure emerged from behind the tree. Human head, snake body. From the waist up, it was a naked girl. From the navel down, a snake's tail. The sight wasn't scary at all, in fact. It was rather beautiful. An electronic screen was mounted on the pine tree to our left, the live chat scrolling wildly. Damn, that girl is flat as a board. I told you that old man has no taste. All he ever makes is ugly crap. Announcer, could you please tell your sorcerers not to use flat-chested women anymore? It kills the mood. We pay a lot of money, and we don't want to see an ironing board. Exactly. Most of the prey in this batch are flat-chested. What the hell? It took all my strength to resist smashing that screen. Sophie was in the chat, and she still needed to give me directions. I had to stay calm. Stay calm. Number 1 was staring intently at the girl's face, her own full of shock. Impossible, that's impossible. Didn't number 8 die? Why? I squeezed her shoulder, my voice a furious whisper forced from my throat. She's been turned into a human goo. The normal way to create a goo is to seal various poisonous creatures in a jar. The last one to survive becomes the goo. But a human goo is made by locking a living person in a room with goo worms. The person is first soaked in a special potion that makes them immune to poison. A secret art keeps a breath of life in their body. If they can endure 21 days of being bitten, burrowed into, and gnawed on by hundreds of insects, the survivor becomes a human goo. Using a human to create a goo is an unforgivable sin against nature. What's more, a human goo often retains a sliver of its consciousness, making it infinitely more intelligent than a normal goo. This is why some sorcerers risk universal condemnation to secretly create them. Seeing number 1's pained sobs, the human goo's face also showed a hint of sadness. Hesitation flickered in her eyes, then vanished. She whipped her tail and slithered toward us, baring her fangs. A human goo's blood is often highly toxic. I ordered the girls to run farther away while I charged forward, dagger in hand. Thankfully, the monsters here were sent in waves, probably to accommodate those moronic millionaires. After all, they'd spent so much money they couldn't just have the girls all killed off at once. A game worth over $100 million ending in a few minutes would surely piss them off. The human goose stretched out her arms to grab me. Her nails were long and black, hiding who knows how much poison. I kicked her away, and my dagger slashed a long gash on her arm. My kick sent her flying back a good distance. She stared blankly at the black blood flowing from her arm, then suddenly burst into crazed laughter. As she laughed, tears streamed down her face. This human goo seemed to have been created recently. She wasn't used to her enormous tail yet. After a couple of exchanges, she realized she was no match for me. I felt pity for this poor girl and held back, but her attacks grew more and more frantic. When I kneed her in the stomach and pinned her down again, she suddenly spoke. "Kill me. Please kill me." My hand holding the dagger hesitated. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But she suddenly arched her body, throwing her heart directly onto the tip of my blade. "Watch out." I tried to push her away, but it was too late. She clutched her chest and fell backward, an expression of relief on her face. I gripped the dagger, a world-destroying hatred rising within me. These scum. I was going to kill them all. The atmosphere was heavy, but the girl's fighting spirit was soaring. Number 13 grabbed my hand, wiping away tears. "Sister, if it weren't for you, I would have become a monster too. This place is too horrible. They won't even leave us alone after we're dead." I led the group forward in silence. The woods weren't large, and the path was lined with gnarled, withered trees. It looked like a dark forest from a western fairy tale, the kind where a witch would live. Before long, we reached the edge of the forest. There were a few simple wooden huts surrounded by a small yard with a bamboo fence. Inside the yard grew a number of strange-looking poisonous plants. "Ribbit!" A loud croak echoed, and something ran out of a hut. A person? It could hardly be called a person anymore. Its upper body was a giant toad's head, its back covered in a dense, disgusting layer of bumps. Its lower half, however, was the body of a naked woman. Her long legs were smooth and fair, pretty enough to be a stocking model. Question of the day. Fish head on a human body, or human head on a fish body? Which do you choose? Thrilling. Exciting. Interesting. This old man has a lot of cool stuff in his house. There was another screen on the wall of the hut. The scrolling comments made my head spin with rage. "Choose your father's ass. You pig-brained, dog-hearted freaks, you're actually choosing. Yeah, you're the best at choosing. Choosing to be animals instead of humans, choosing to eat shit instead of food, choosing to spew crap instead of speaking like people. But I guess I can't blame you. You're the abandoned children of Bigfoot, the reason septic tanks get clogged. Bunch of worthless, immoral trash. With descendants like you, the energy from your ancestors' graves exploding could launch a satellite into space." Number 13 was my official mouthpiece, and her insults were music to my ears. The live chat went silent for several minutes before resuming. "A mysterious tycoon has purchased 2 zombies for number 13. Country gentleman has purchased a mother-child ghost pair for number 13. Number 13's face paled, and the bravado she had while cussing them out instantly vanished. "Ha ha ha, my little hut is quite lively today." Just then, an old man in a black robe walked out of the hut. His skin was dark, his head and eyebrows were bald, and when he smiled, he revealed a mouthful of rotten black teeth. He looked even scarier than the toad creature. "Karma Queen, damn. You're so ugly you hurt my eyes." "Ah, my eyes." Karma Queen has purchased 10 zombies, 20 hungry ghosts, 80 giant centipedes, and 30 hanging ghosts for Master A. Error. Gifts can only be sent to the prey, not to the masters. This purchase has been cancelled. We hope Karma Queen will abide by the game rules. The sorcerer didn't look at the screen, still grinning cheerfully at us. Excellent, excellent. So many fresh test subjects this time. My little darlings are getting impatient. I flew through the air and kicked him in the stomach. Before he even hit the ground, my fists were raining down on him like a storm. This sorcerer had countless poisons and vicious methods. With me being empty-handed, I wasn't sure I could win a magical duel. But besides being a sorceress, I was also a martial artist. A sorceress who knows kung fu. How are you going to block that? The old frail sorcerer didn't even have time to pull out his goo worms before my flurry of punches knocked him unconscious. Just as I was about to strike again, a pitch-black cockroach crawled out of his mouth and flew at me. This must be his bonded goo. Using a cockroach as a bonded goo, yuck. The insect forced me back into a corner. Just then, number 1 flipped the wooden stake in her hand and, aiming the sharp end at the old sorcerer's heart, thrust it down viciously. The goo worm let out a piercing shriek. It flapped its disgusting wings, trying to fly back to its master, but I wasn't about to let that happen. While fighting the old man, I had managed to rip off half of his black robe to dodge the cockroach. I whipped the robe around so fast it created a whirlwind, and the cockroach couldn't find a way out of my encirclement. Plop! The giant cockroach suddenly convulsed and fell to the ground, lying motionless. I lowered the robe and turned around to see that the old man had been hacked into a pile of mince by the enraged girls. A bonded goo and its master share one life. With the old man dead, the goo naturally died too. We ransacked his hut, then set it on fire, burning the hut and all the goo inside to the ground. Amidst the roaring flames, the electronic screen let out a harsh mechanical screech. Prey has violated the rules. Initiating Plan B. So the rules of this shithole place were that they could kill us, but we couldn't fight back? Bullshit. I spat hard at the screen and led the girls back the way we came. Thud. I crouched down, clutching my nose as tears streamed down my face. Can someone tell me why the path that was just here suddenly turned into a giant sheet of glass? Number 1 touched the glass in front of her, her face grim. Number 7, it looks like our path is blocked. We walked along the glass, tapping it, and found that it completely blocked the way we came, leaving only one opening. I pushed on the glass. The hardness, the thickness, it was almost like bulletproof glass. My dagger wouldn't be able to break it. Our only option was to follow the path they'd laid out for us, heading behind the wooden huts. Number 7, we might really not be able to get out. Number 1 gently tugged my hand, her smile more painful than a sob. There's a really terrifying big guy in this place. They don't use it unless they have to. I heard that in one of the previous games, they accidentally kidnapped a girl from the Zhang family. She was a powerful priestess and was on the verge of escaping when that thing appeared. She was killed in a single move. I stared at her in shock. The Zhang family? The Zhang family of Dragon Tiger Mountain. Number 1 nodded. The girl didn't even have time to send a message before she disappeared. The Zhang family is probably still searching the world for her. I clenched my fists, staring intently at Number 1's lips. What is that thing? Number 1 bit her lip, then stood on her tiptoes and whispered in my ear. A bronze-clad. A bronze-clad that has evolved into a flying corpse. My heart went cold, as if a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head. As I mentioned before, zombies are divided into 6 levels. Stiff, white, green, and flying, and finally the drought demon. The bronze-clad is a very special type of zombie. They are usually former generals who died wearing their armor. They died in a year, month, day, and hour all associated with the element of metal, and were buried in a place of extreme metal energy. After 1,000 years of cultivation, their entire bodies turn into indestructible metal, impervious to blades, fire, and water. And according to Number 1, this bronze-clad had even evolved into a flying corpse. Metal is born from earth, so a bronze-clad could already travel through the ground. Now it could fly too, making it truly capable of soaring through the sky and burrowing through the earth. How was I supposed to fight that? If he just grabbed me and burrowed into the ground, I'd suffocate. Or he could carry me into the air and drop me, and I'd be a pancake in seconds. Seeing the worried, fearful, and hopeful eyes of the other girls, I just sat down on the spot. The path ahead was a dead end. I wasn't stupid, I wasn't going to walk right into my own death. Everyone sit down and rest. We're not going any further. We'll just stay here. But those bastards weren't going to let us off that easily. As expected, not long after we sat down, roars and footsteps echoed from behind us. Judging by the noise, a lot of things were coming. Number 7, let's run. I'd rather be smacked to death by that zombie in one hit than die to these weird bugs and poisonous snakes. Me too. I'm terrified of snakes. I'd rather the zombie just bite my head off. They had a point. With so many disgusting creatures, I couldn't protect them all barehanded. The zombie, on the other hand, was a one-on-one fight. I could probably hold it off for a while. I led the group forward at a run. Soon we arrived at a cave. The inside was dry, with torches lit along the walls. It looked like the entrance passage to a tomb. As soon as we were all inside, a stone door dropped from the ceiling, trapping us like rats in a cage. Don't go any further. You all just sit here. When one door closes, another opens. So what if it was a bronze-clad? I refused to believe that I, the Lu Yifei of the Taoist world, would die in a crappy cave like this. Number 1 grabbed my hand, her gaze sincere and determined. I'll go with you. I smiled and ruffled her hair. No, you'll slow me down. My name is Sana. What's yours? Number 1 took a step forward, tears glistening in her eyes. Number 13 also rushed over and hugged my waist. Sister, my name is Bella. I'll remember you forever. I waved them off. My name is Luna Reed. Don't worry, I told you I'd get all of you out of here. Just wait for my good news. Humming a tune, I walked deeper into the cave. It was quite spacious. Before I got far, an electronic screen appeared on the right wall, the live chat scrolling non-stop. What a shame we won't get to see this Saint Mary get crushed to death. This zombie has so many rules. He doesn't like being monitored. I paid good money for this. Announcer, let the zombie out to kill them. I want to see those little bitches get played with one by one. Yes, yes. The more twisted, the better. I love to watch. I forced down my anger and read the comments carefully. What did they mean? This zombie didn't like being monitored, so the cameras were only in the passage, not in the main chamber? Good. I didn't want these assholes to see me getting my ass kicked by a zombie. I walked forward, my steps slow but steady. I was an orphan, found by my master at the temple gate. Since I began my training at 4, I've faced fierce ghosts, cunning sorcerers, and brutal demons. I've been scared, hesitant, confused, and terrified, but I've never backed down. Though 1,000 may fall at my side, I will go on. To vanquish evil and protect the peace of the world. This is my path. I cannot retreat, and I will not retreat. I pushed open the heavy iron door. A huge iron coffin lay silently in the middle of the stone chamber. Bang! With a loud crash, the coffin lid hit the floor, kicking up a cloud of dust. Through the swirling dirt, an enormous figure sat up from inside the coffin. Truly a bronze-clad of immense strength, that iron lid must have weighed several thousand pounds. If that had landed on me, even my master probably couldn't have saved me. I swallowed hard and tried to strike a fighting pose. Thump! The bronze-clad flew straight out of the iron coffin and landed heavily right in front of me. His chest was only a hand's breadth from my nose. I tilted my head back and stared at him blankly. Then I reached out and punched him on the shoulder. Holy shit! Marcus Thorne, where the hell have you been for the last 6 months? You scared the crap out of me. The bronze-clad's eyes nearly popped out of his head, his expression far too lively for a zombie. Holy shit! Luluna Reid. I met Marcus when I first came down from the mountain. Back then, he was only a green-level zombie, but his bronze skin and iron bones made him extremely hard to deal with. I spent a whole month fighting him in the mountains. He couldn't kill me, and I couldn't destroy him. In the end, I tricked him into coming down the mountain with me and signing a spiritual contract. The contract stated that I would help him cultivate a protective aura of merit, and in return, he would work for me for 100 years. Zombies cultivate against the natural order and are rejected by the heavens. Once their power breaks through a certain level, they attract a heavenly lightning tribulation. The aura of merit could mask his presence, allowing him to advance safely. This zombie had been lying in his coffin for so long he'd lost his mind, thinking 100 years was just a snap of the fingers. That's why he signed the century-long contract of indentured servitude. After coming down the mountain, I opened a haunted house at an amusement park. To make the business successful, I had painstakingly captured all the ghosts and monsters inside. And Marcus Thorne was one of my employees. Later, the haunted house scared a tourist with a heart condition to death. I paid a huge settlement and shut the place down. Marcus said he was going into the mountains to cultivate for a few days, and then he just vanished. You son of a bitch. You dared to skip work? You signed a spiritual contract with me. I kicked Marcus hard. He dodged and complained defensively. You can't blame me for this. I went into the mountains to cultivate, and my luck was too good. I ran into a shower of lunar essence. Legend says that every 200 years, the moon rains down lunar essence. The droplets vary in size, from as small as a grain of rice to as large as an egg. On the day of the shower, the sky is filled with brilliant starlight, like the Milky Way pouring down to Earth. The lunar essence contains the pure essence of moonlight. Plants irrigated with it can gain intelligence and become spirits. Animals bathed in it can increase their cultivation by 200 years. Although zombies are unholy creatures, they can still absorb the spiritual energy of lunar essence to advance their power. One of the droplets was the size of a fist and knocked me silly. Not long after I absorbed it, I became a flying corpse. And then the heavenly tribulation came. The merit aura you helped me build up was only enough to suppress a green-level zombie. I had to run all over the place to dodge that tribulation. I almost died of exhaustion. Then I ran here. There are a lot of dark sorcerers here, and one of them said he could set up a formation to help me suppress the tribulation. But I had to stay here and act as his enforcer. I swear, I haven't killed a single person in all the time I've been here. I stopped, gritting my teeth. This guy's body was so hard my leg was probably bruised from kicking him. You're lying. There was a girl from the Zhang family. You killed her in one move. Marcus jumped up and down in frustration. Killed her? What are you talking about? That girl had a heart condition. She yelled bronze-clad. And just dropped dead. You can't blame me for that. Seeing I was still fuming, Marcus rubbed his nose guiltily. Don't be mad. I'll get you out of here. Marcus said this place was huge and even had a monster park, where the rich could take transparent vehicles to tour all sorts of goo worms, poisonous creatures, walking corpses, and female ghosts. They have a really big viewing room with a huge screen. The rich sit there, drinking wine and watching the hunt. Hey wait, what did you just say? So these rich scumbags weren't on the other side of an internet connection. They were right here in this place with us? That made sense. What's the fun in watching from home? Of course it would be more exciting to be here in person. After touring the monster park and getting up close with these dark creatures, they would be able to more deeply appreciate the girl's desperation and fear during the live stream. Good. Very good. I looked up with a sinister smile and patted Marcus on the shoulder. Marcus, my man, it's time for you to clock in. I messed up my hair, rolled around on the ground a few times to make myself look disheveled, and then sprinted out of the tomb, running like a madwoman back toward the camera-equipped tunnel, scrambling on all fours. Help me! Somebody help me! Marcus rolled his eyes and followed behind me, silently watching my performance. When we both got in front of the camera, I let out an ear-splitting scream. Ah! Luna! Luna, sister! The girls sitting on the ground were terrified. After I collapsed, Marcus bent down, grabbed my foot, and started dragging me deeper into the cave like a dead dog. Hey, wrong posture. Holy crap, he's too tall. Most of my body was dangling in the air, with only my face scraping against the ground. I got a mouthful of dirt. I'm so pissed, I look like a human mop. Ah, I'll kill you. Sana screamed and charged forward with her wooden stake. The other girls, though scared, didn't back down either. With Marcus dragging me and the girls chasing after us, our group quickly disappeared from the camera's view. Tui. Tui tui. Damn it, Marcus, was that payback? I spat out the dirt in my mouth and unleashed a flurry of punches on him. The other girls stared in shock. Sana was too stunned to speak. Let me introduce you. This is my friend, Marcus Thorne, a general from the Song dynasty who fought against the Jin invaders. I settled the girls in the tomb chamber, then had Marcus carry me out on his coffin lid. The real hunt was about to begin. The supposedly indestructible tempered glass was like tofu in front of Marcus's multi-ton coffin lid. A light push and it shattered. I rampaged through the entire monster park, luring almost every creature behind me. Marcus's aura was too terrifying. I was afraid he'd scare off the monsters I'd worked so hard to attract, so I had him float in the air with his coffin lid, waiting for my signal. As I ran, I could catch glimpses of the live chat flashing. Holy shit, number 7 isn't dead. What happened? The zombie didn't kill her? Did the zombie fall for her? They slept together and he let her go? Too bad I didn't get to see that beautiful scene. What is she doing? Why is she running all over the place? Where are the other girls? TSK. Such filthy mouths. Perfect for stuffing with goo worms. When I had led all the monsters to the front of a cliff, Marcus raised the iron coffin lid and hurled it forward. Ha! What's that flying toward us? Holy shit. Announcer, what is that? Announcer. Fuck. Refund. Refund. Boom. After a massive explosion, half the cliff collapsed. The cliff was actually an extremely tall wall, and on the other side was a gigantic screen. I climbed through the huge hole the wall had made and found another world on the other side. Outside was danger at every turn. Inside was a scene of decadent luxury. Countless scantily clad, beautiful girls holding trays stared at me in shock. It was a huge room, decorated like a luxury movie theater. Each row of seats had its own table, laden with juice, expensive wine, and exquisite dishes I couldn't name. Everyone wore a mask covering the upper half of their face, hiding their identities. But that didn't matter. They were all about to die anyway. Seeing me charge in, the assholes lounging on the sofas jumped to their feet. Some even screamed in terror. Security! Where's security? I leaped onto a table in the front row, put my hands on my hips, and yelled to Marcus. Marcus! Watch them. Don't let a single one escape. Holy shit. Marcus is here too. Sophie ripped off her mask and ran toward me, laughing triumphantly. Ha ha ha, don't worry. I sealed the doors a long time ago. These idiots haven't even noticed. Amidst the chaos, Sophie and I hid in a corner, leisurely sipping red wine and eating snacks. Hey, look at that fat guy. The demon baby saw his big stomach and just sliced it open and crawled inside. Look at that old man, that's even crazier. What's that thing crawling into his nostril? A horsehair worm. The red wine in my mouth suddenly became hard to swallow. That's a tapeworm goo. It loves to eat people's internal organs raw. Damn, that guy with the glasses is hardcore. He's being drawn and quartered by a pack of dogs. Idiot, those are corpse hounds. These rich pricks, who acted so high and mighty because of their money, were wetting their pants when faced with real monsters. They were a far cry from the girls earlier. Screams, curses, pleas for help, and the roars of monsters. I cleaned out my ears, feeling annoyed. Are these rich guys the only ones in here? What about the base staff and the sorcerers? Sophie's eyes lit up. Hee, I set up a 5 thunder exorcism array. I was just missing a few key points and the formation's eye. I was waiting for you. Alright, Sophie's getting good. I looked at her with satisfaction, downed the rest of my wine, and followed her out. Marcus had led the girls out of the base. I had placed a Buddhist relic rosary on him to temporarily conceal his malevolent and corpse-like aura. I, on the other hand, went back into the monster park and, without hesitation, plunged the formation flag into the eye of the exorcism array. Boom! Rumble! Soon, dark clouds rolled across the sky, and countless bolts of lightning flashed like silver snakes. As thunder struck the ground, I could feel the entire earth tremble violently. There were too many evil creatures here. The moment the 5 thunder exorcism array was activated, it actually summoned a heavenly lightning storm. Lightning struck a withered tree, instantly starting a massive fire. All the evil in this place would be turned to ash in this storm of lightning and fire. Sophie had arranged for people to send the girls home. To comfort them, she even transferred $2 million to each of them. I checked my phone, and the morning news was all about dozens of wealthy individuals found dead at a famous local resort. Among them were well-known entrepreneurs, philanthropists, famous directors, and celebrities. Awesome, Luna. You took out the whole live streaming base. So did you get the info on my uncle? I blinked at the excited Ethan who was rushing toward me. Uncle? What uncle? Ethan's face darkened. Weren't you supposed to be gathering information? You already took the payment. I scratched my head. Things were so chaotic, I only had time to force the mob boss to transfer all his money to Sophie. The moment the transfer was complete, he was struck by a bolt of lightning. Under the heavenly thunder, everyone's soul was annihilated. I couldn't even summon a ghost. I rubbed my nose guiltily, then shot him a glare. What are you yelling about? I accidentally forgot. Ethan's mouth opened, but my brazen confidence left him speechless. Then, that ancient sword you took, and the yin-yang jade and… Seeing me raise a fist the size of a casserole pot, Ethan swallowed hard and forced a smile. Are there any other options? Of course there were. I did a divination for Ethan, analyzed a character for him, and even studied his uncle's photo and birth chart. In the end, I figured out that his uncle had actually fled to Japan. Luna, my family has a lot of other treasures. I don't know if you'd be interested. Just as I was about to answer, Sophie ran over, holding her phone anxiously. Luna, a fan has been sending you the same DM for 7 days straight. Quick, take a look. I took the phone. Host, save me. Master Luna, help. Save me. I instantly forgot all about Ethan's problem, grabbed my bag, and pulled Sophie along. Sophie, let's go. We're going home. I participated in a reality show to find the next big girl group. The makeup artist drew beautiful tattoos on the girls. But those drawings were clearly red and white soul stitches. Dyed with corpse oil, drawn with a brush made of human bone. Red stitches bring fortune, white stitches bring death. And the designs drawn on the girls were all white stitches. Name, Luna Reyes. Age, 21. What's your talent? I can. Excellent. Brilliant. Full marks, you pass. I twitched my lips and looked speechlessly at Sophie on the judges' panel. She was my friend, my apprentice, and the daughter of the richest man in the city. Sure enough, as soon as Sophie finished speaking, an uproar erupted from the audience. I was auditioning for a girl group reality show, and Sophie had used her money as a superpower ability to become one of the 4 judges. This show was incredibly popular. The production team had held auditions all over the country, and out of over 100,000 applicants, only 4 would make it into the final group. The audition rules were simple. If just one of the 4 judges pressed the green light, the contestant passed the initial screening and advanced. The judges included an idol singer, a popular young actor, a famous musician, and Sophie, the show's biggest sponsor, bar none. Because I passed the audition, a staff member led me to the backstage waiting room. As soon as I entered, a crowd of girls surrounded me. The auditions were being live-streamed, so they must have all seen my performance. Well, if you could even call it a performance. One girl's eyes turned red with anger when she saw me. I know you have connections, but couldn't you be a little less obvious about it? Exactly. We practice singing and dancing every day for these auditions. What does our effort mean when you do this? There were very few spots in this round. Only 20 out of 20,000 people would advance, truly 1 in 1,000. I glanced at them with a hint of shame. Guess it's just your bad luck. My name is Luna Reed. I'm a Taoist priestess and an internet personality. Every weekend, I livestream fortune-telling and face-reading sessions. A few days ago, a fan kept sending me desperate DMs, saying that after she joined the girl group competition, she started having nightmares every day. She even dreamed of her deceased grandfather grabbing her hand and telling her to run. And the jade bracelet she had worn for years suddenly broke after she advanced. But she wanted to debut so badly that she came to me for help, asking if I could join the competition with her and protect her on the show. I wasn't going to agree at first. Participating in a reality show was too high profile, not my style. But then she said we had a special connection, a $2 million connection. That $2 million check was just too beautiful. Most importantly, protecting the public is the solemn duty of a priestess like me. It was my responsibility. And so, I came to the show, auditioned, and successfully advanced. Master Luna, I'm so sorry you have to go through this. After being surrounded and mocked by the other girls, Jenna finally dared to approach me in the restroom. I'm sorry. Jenna lowered her head in embarrassment. I had just advanced and was already being ostracized. No one was talking to me, and she had also chosen to keep her distance. The contestants who debuted would naturally have to work closely with the other girls. Being isolated would seriously affect my chances in the later stages of the competition. To protect herself, Jenna didn't even dare to make eye contact with me in front of others. Luna, can we pretend we don't know each other from now on? I nodded indifferently. It's not like I was really here to be in a girl group. The competition didn't matter to me. In the following rounds, the girls gave it their all. Jenna had 18 years of dance experience. Laura had a heavenly voice. Yvonne was a triple threat, a great singer, dancer, and stunningly beautiful. And me? I had Sophie. And so, amidst a sea of contempt, disdain, and jealousy, I fought my way into the top 20. Once we made it to the top 20, we had to live and eat at the company. The dorms were 4-person rooms with very little privacy. Jenna and I were assigned to the same dorm, along with Laura and Yvonne. The 4 of us were currently the top contenders for the championship. Especially me, who had outshone everyone with the simple line, "Hello everyone, I'm Luna Reed." I had no idea how many people I'd made envious. "Hey, Luna Reed, I hear you can read faces. Why don't you read mine?" Yvonne propped her foot on my stool, her eyes full of provocation and disgust. Laura shot me a sympathetic look, then stood firmly behind Yvonne. I didn't get angry. Instead, I studied her face seriously. Fortune-telling has many rules, including 3 don'ts. Don't tell the fortunes of young children. Whether the prediction is good or bad, it could affect the parent's mindset. Don't tell a single woman a bad fortune about her love life. It could ruin her expectations for the future. Don't tell a dying person their remaining lifespan. It could make them lose hope and fall into despair. But none of that mattered to me. After all, I didn't make a living from fortune-telling. Your cheekbones are too high. You have chaotic lines around your temples, and your nose is sharp as a knife. A classic Black Widow face. You're destined to have at least 3 husbands die on you. Yvonne's nose practically twisted with rage. She raised her hand to hit me, but when she saw me standing my ground without flinching, she grew wary. The show had a strict no fighting rule. Anyone who fought would be kicked out. She glared at me, fuming. I crossed my arms and carefully studied her and Laura. There were so many girls on this show, but I couldn't figure out who the culprit was. Although a few of them had faces that suggested they were scheming and narrow-minded, they were all normal people. None of them seemed like a truly evil person. Luna Reed, don't get too cocky. The show isn't owned by your family. You can't win the championship with just a self-introduction. Yvonne spat out a few more bitter words before leaving with Laura. As soon as they left, Jenna cautiously approached, holding a red string. "Luna, my string broke." After her bracelet had cracked, Jenna had bought this protective wristband from me. The red string had a simple protection charm on it that could block one disaster for her. I frowned, pinching the string that was now in 2 pieces. It seemed this matter was not as simple as I thought. There was a dance rehearsal in the afternoon, followed by a 4v4 competition in the evening. We would be split into teams of 4 to compete against each other. This was our first official rehearsal, and everyone was a little nervous. I had just taken my position as instructed by the dance teacher, and taken a single step to the left when I felt something was wrong. Someone had spread a thin layer of oil on the wooden floor. I instantly lost my balance and fell heavily to the side. A normal girl would have definitely been injured by such a fall. An injury would have meant the end of the competition for her. Jenna screamed. Under the expectant gazes of the others, I did a 360-degree flip in the air and landed steadily on my feet. A chorus of disappointed sighs followed. It seemed my not falling was a great disappointment to everyone. Hearing that the floor had been oiled, the production team took it very seriously. "Oh, director, one of the girls must have spilled something by accident." Yeah, no one would do something like that. Maybe Luna Reed stepped in some oil outside? Why does she have to think the worst of people? A group of girls gathered around, chattering away, all but pointing at my nose and accusing me of being paranoid. After an inspection, the staff discovered that the hidden cameras in the dance studio, cafeteria, and some of the recording booths were all broken. Now everyone started to get nervous. Jenna was so scared she hid behind me. I scratched my head in frustration. I'm a priestess, not a detective. I don't know how to play these Game of Thrones mind games. But the goal of the person behind this was simple: to advance and debut in the girl group. Whoever managed to stay in the competition unharmed would be the most suspicious. Not long after the dance rehearsal, we had to start preparing for the evening's performance. The girls, dressed in tank tops, let the makeup artists paint one beautiful tattoo after another on them. The artist doing my makeup was a young, round-faced girl everyone called Ms. Fong. The moment she took out her brush, I froze. Wait, where did you get that brush? Everyone stop. Because there were so many girls, there were 4 makeup artists. I checked the brushes each of them was using for the tattoos, and found that they were all the same. The handles were made of human bone, the bristles of a dead person's hair. The only art that uses such brushes is red and white soul stitching. Soul stitching, also known as ghost embroidery, uses corpse oil for dye and a mix of animal and human blood for paint. A painted soul stitch is relatively weak. If it's directly tattooed with a needle, the effect is much stronger. Red stitches are mostly for blessings, wealth, and safety. White stitches are for curses, bad luck, and disaster. Red brings fortune, white brings death. And the designs being drawn on the girls were all white stitch patterns. What's wrong now? Luna Reed. What kind of trouble are you stirring up this time? Yvonne, followed by a few other girls, strode toward me aggressively. Her makeup was already done. Intricate and magnificent patterns adorned her fair, slender arms and delicate collarbones. When I saw the pattern on her arm, my heart sank. It was that symbol. The design on Yvonne's body looked like a beautiful flag at first glance, decorated with all sorts of strange patterns. But this wasn't an ordinary flag, it was a soul-summoning banner. When she started dancing, the movement of her muscles and the accelerated blood flow would stimulate the soul stitch, and the banner would activate. This banner could summon all the lonely ghosts and wandering spirits within a 100-mile radius. The show is about to start. Why are you all just standing here instead of getting your makeup done? The director's angry shout made the makeup artists, who had stopped working, jump to their feet like mice seeing a cat. Ms. Fong snatched the bone brush from my hand. She pulled me toward the makeup station. Come on, stop messing around. You're the only one left. I don't want to get yelled at again. Sit down. Yvonne had a soul-summoning banner drawn on her, which would attract countless evil spirits. Laura had 2 crimson eyes drawn on her back, the red-eyed ghost mother, which could summon red-eyed ghosts. The most prominent feature of red-eyed ghosts is their glowing red eyes. In life, they were consumed by jealousy and could never stand to see others do well. The moment they see someone slightly better than them, they are driven mad with envy. Jenna, on the other hand, had a wrathful ghost tattooed on her. As the name suggests, anyone influenced by a wrathful ghost would have an explosive temper, ready to blow up at the slightest provocation. I let Ms. Fong draw on my shoulder, my mind momentarily blank. An arrogant ghost, a red-eyed ghost, a wrathful ghost, a starving ghost, and a lustful ghost. What did all this mean? A demonic version of the 7 deadly sins? Isn't it beautiful? I looked at everyone's tattoos, and yours is the prettiest. I love stars. Ms. Fong put down her brush, satisfied, and gave me a little nod. I looked in the mirror. A blue star with a long tail was drawn on my shoulder, its tail trailing off into a shower of stardust, creating a whole galaxy. What a beautiful, unlucky star. Anyone marked with an unlucky star becomes a magnet for misfortune, the kind of person who could choke to death drinking water. When the performance started and we all began to dance, all 19 of these girls would probably be possessed by various ghosts and monsters. Now I was even more confused. Everyone here had a tattoo, so who was the culprit? It couldn't be the production team, could it? What would be the point? The place would be filled with people possessed by ghosts of wrath, envy, lust, and arrogance. The chaos would be unimaginable. I shook my head and sighed, a tinge of regret creeping in. When my senior used to force me to study, not only did I ignore him, but I also secretly hid a starving ghost in his outhouse. I had drawn the ghost inside a cardboard box, so my senior's angry roars often echoed through the temple. Leo, get your master some toilet paper. And then my junior apprentice, Leo, who would be in the middle of a meal, would put down his bowl with a disgusted look, pinch his nose, and go deliver paper to the outhouse. Starving ghosts, you see, eat everything. No matter how many times my senior brought paper with him, the ghost I'd drawn would eat it. Sigh. You never appreciate what you have until it's gone. I used to rely on brute force to catch ghosts and exorcise demons. I never thought I'd have to use my brain this time. Let's go, let's go. The live stream is about to start. The director waved his hand, shooing us away. I reached into my pocket, pulled out a talisman, formed a hand seal, and recited an incantation before flicking the burning paper at the ceiling. The piercing shriek of the smoke alarm went off, and the sprinklers on the ceiling started spraying water everywhere. The girls were drenched. Their hair was ruined, their makeup was smudged, and the soul stitches were a blurry mess. Soul stitches are meant to be tattooed into the skin. When just painted on the surface, a little water is all it takes to ruin them, neutralizing their effect. The director was about to have a stroke. Luna. Reed. Are you insane? What the hell are you doing? I gave an awkward smile. I was conducting a fire drill. The live stream had to be postponed. If it weren't for Sophie, I would have been kicked off the show in a heartbeat. Soul stitches? Sounds exciting. So the mastermind this time is a Stitch witch who knows the art. Sophie stood by, looking thrilled, only regretting that she had missed the scene. They're not just any sorcerer, they're called Stitch witches. I thought soul stitching was a lost art. I was surprised to see it. Where did the production team get these brushes? Sophie said the tools and designs were all arranged by the head stylist. But the head stylist claimed that the tattoos were his assistant's idea. Even the designs for each girl were prepared by the assistant in advance. And conveniently, the assistant had taken the afternoon off, claiming his mother overseas had a medical emergency. He'd flown abroad, his phone was off, and he wasn't responding to messages. He had simply vanished. Luna, let's make a deal. When you catch that Stitch witch, have them tattoo a few designs on me, okay? Something for wealth, for prosperity, for good luck, for good health. I'm not picky. I rolled my eyes. You want me to get you a love-attracting one too? Sophie looked disgusted. No way. Men will only slow down the speed at which I draw my sword. Get out. I shooed Sophie away and returned to the dressing room, my mind full of worries. Jenna held up her phone and winked at me, signaling me to check my messages. Luna, you're trending for all the wrong reasons. The auditions had been going on for a while, and the remaining 20 girls all had their own fan bases. After the performance was Sabotage, the production team announced on their official website that the delay was due to a contestant accidentally triggering the fire alarm. Yvonne's fans immediately singled me out, flooding the comment section with insults. Who is this Luna Reed Roach? She can't be bothered to practice, so she goes crazy when she's afraid others will do well. Her casual fire drill ruined weeks of hard work for so many people. I've never seen such a toxic person. If she can't dance, she won't let anyone else dance. A petition signed in blood to get Luna Reed kicked off the show. Everyone calm down. Maybe Luna Reed had her reasons. I'm sure she didn't do it on purpose. This user, Gingersnap, had to be Jenna. Her comment was bombarded with hundreds of replies, many accusing her of being me. Seeing me looking at my phone, the other girls gradually surrounded me. Yvonne stood at the front, hands on her hips, looking at me as if I'd killed her father. Luna Reed, do you have any idea how long we rehearsed for this live stream? Laura's eyes were also red. To be in my best shape for the competition, I didn't drink any soda or bubble tea. I ate boiled vegetables for every meal, just so I could look good on camera. Luna Reed, you went too far. Laura's words resonated with many of the girls, and I suddenly became the target of everyone's anger. Yvonne pointed at my nose and yelled, spittle flying, her finger almost poking me in the face. You bitch. I don't know what kind of trash could produce someone as vile as you. Why don't you just go die? I watched Yvonne's mouth open and close, my master's words echoing in my ears. Luna, most demons and ghosts hide from the world. The average person might never encounter one in their entire life. If they don't see it, they won't believe it. In the future, many people will doubt you, insult you. Let them. Being misunderstood is the fate of those in our line of work. It's better for the common people to know less about ghosts and spirits. It prevents panic and unnecessary worry. Remembering the teachings of my master and senior, I couldn't help but sigh. Then, I slapped Yvonne across the face. The slap sent Yvonne stumbling into Laura. Before she could react, I had grabbed a fistful of her hair. Everyone watched stunned as I pulled a long black, straight-haired wig off Yvonne's head. Ah, do you know who my father is? How dare you hit me? I'll kill you. Yvonne was so angry her hair was practically standing on end. Forgetting the no fighting rule, she charged at me, hands outstretched, ready to slap me. Frankly, I could take on 100 of her with my eyes closed. I held the wig in my left hand and grabbed her wrist with my right, twisting her arm behind her back. All right, that's enough. Laura muttered under her breath. Who's the one causing trouble here? I pushed Yvonne away and threw the wig on the floor. Idiot. That thing on your head isn't a wig. It's a hair demon. My master and senior always said I shouldn't tell ordinary people too much about the supernatural. That's why when I first left the temple, I was a debunker, telling everyone online to believe in science and not superstition. Later, I realized that people need to have some faith, especially a healthy fear of the supernatural. What you do, the heavens see. There are gods 3 feet above your head. Letting them know about the world's biodiversity wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Of course, the most important thing was that I would absolutely not be pushed around. I can't let the hero bleed, sweat, and cry, can I? They can believe what they want. I'm done coddling them. You not only hit me, you stole my wig. Yvonne clamped her mouth shut in terror. The other girls screamed and took a step back. The wig I had thrown on the floor seemed to come to life. It rolled across the floor twice, and then scurried toward one of the girls' feet. Get away. Get away. A ghost. The girls scattered like frightened rabbits. Some jumped onto the sofas, others climbed onto the makeup tables. The most extreme was Yvonne, who in her terror, crawled under a table. Luna, save me. Jenna was on the verge of tears, forgetting all about keeping her distance as she scrambled toward me, screaming. Hair demons are usually formed from the resentment of women. These women were often very beautiful in life, especially their hair, which was as black as ink and as smooth as silk. After they die, their resentment clings to their hair, and they become hair demons. Hair demons like to disguise themselves as wigs. When someone wears one, the demon latches onto their scalp, and its hair grows backward into their brain, feeding on their life force and energy. Yvonne was lucky. It takes a hair demon about 10 minutes to take root. She had only been wearing the wig for 2 minutes before I ripped it off. Luna. The hair demon crawled up Jenna's leg to her neck, and a few strands of hair slithered into her nose and mouth. By the supreme command of the great Lord Lousy, I flicked a talisman like a throwing knife, hitting the hair demon. The moment the paper touched it, it burst into flames. Seeing this, the demon dropped Jenna, jumped to the floor, and tried to escape through the door. I wasn't about to let it get away. 5 ancient coins flew from my hand like daggers, pinning the hair demon to the floor. Arg! A piercing scream came from the floor as the hair demon was engulfed in flames. In the orange-red light, the image of a beautiful, enchanting girl gradually appeared. As the flames died out, her form vanished with them. I looked at the ashes on the floor, feeling a little sad. Hair demons were once beautiful girls who had been horribly mistreated in life. What a pity. I went to get a broom and dustpan and swept up the ashes, then put them in a box. I'd ask Sophie to find a nice place to bury them later. I hoped she would have a better next life. Sob, that was so scary. What was that thing? Yvonne crawled out from under the table, wanting to hit me but not daring to. She stomped her foot. Luna Reed, do you think these pranks are funny? After Yvonne spoke, the other girls seemed to come to their senses. They all jumped down from the tables and sofas and started criticizing me again. Honestly, it was exhausting. I ignored them and turned to Yvonne. Who gave you that wig? Laura picked out that wig first, but Yvonne snatched it. Under Yvonne's murderous glare, Jenna's voice grew smaller and smaller until she finally shut her mouth. I looked at Laura seriously. Someone wants to kill you. Then I paused, feeling that something was off. Maybe Laura had prepared the hair demon herself, deliberately letting Yvonne take it. That's how it always goes in palace dramas. So I turned to Yvonne. Someone wants to kill you too. Luna, what does that mean? Right, and the wig had gone straight for Jenna out of all 20 girls. There might be something wrong with her too. I reached out and touched Jenna's hair, and sure enough, I felt some greasy residue. I brought my fingers to my nose and sniffed. It was the unmistakable smell of corpse oil. No wonder the hair demon had chased after Jenna. I frowned at Jenna. And someone wants to kill you too. Pfft. Oh my god, that's hilarious. Are you trying to be Conan Adagawa? Who wants to kill me? Yvonne clutched her stomach, laughing for a while before her expression turned serious. The internet says that me, Laura, Jenna, and you are the four most likely to win. The show said that the winner not only gets to be the group leader, but also gets to star in a TV drama with the top celebrity, Alex Vance. If the three of us die, you'll be the biggest winner. A deduction worthy of a tiger, only to find out she was pointing the finger at me. I twitched my lips, feeling that something was not right. Hearing Yvonne's words, the others silently took a step back, trying to distance themselves from me. What are you all still standing around for? Go change your clothes and get your makeup redone. The live stream is about to start. The director burst in angrily. He froze when he saw the disheveled girls. In their panic, they had been jumping all over the place, and several were injured. One had a bruised forehead, another had a bumped knee, and a few had had their feet stepped on. As the only one standing in the middle unscathed, the blame on my head silently grew heavier. At the director's insistence, we all quickly changed and went straight to the stage to perform. Seeing how fiercely the netizens were raging earlier, I thought the competition would be postponed for days. I didn't expect it would only be delayed by 2 hours. The entertainment industry is so complicated. I danced with a stern face. The popular celebrity on the judges' panel was Alex Vance. I had helped deal with his grandfather when he turned into a zombie. With full marks from both Alex and Sophie, I unsurprisingly took first place for the night. Technically, with 4 judges, their scores alone shouldn't have been enough to make me number 1, as the final score is the sum of all 4. But Sophie was shameless. Besides giving me a 10, she gave everyone else a 1, and a few even got zeros. The other 2 judges were normal people and didn't want to offend Sophie, so they both gave me a 7. After the competition, I had a late-night snack with Sophie. When I got back to the dorm, the atmosphere was very tense. Yvonne had a dark expression, Laura's eyes were red, and even Jenna looked crestfallen. Seeing me return, Jenna bit her lip. Luna, how do you know Alex Vance? Why did he give you a 10? I waved my hand dismissively. It's nothing. I just saved his life once. Yvonne laughed in disbelief. Some people are so shameless. They can say any lie without batting an eye. How arrogant. I gave a cold smile. Believe it or not, I can call Alex right now and have him give you a 0 in the next competition. Yvonne glared at me resentfully and went to bed. Jenna sidled up to me and asked in a very low voice, Luna, if you win first place, will you become an actress? I remember you said you only wanted to be a priestess. I glanced at Yvonne and Laura, who were pretending to be asleep but clearly listening, and deliberately raised my voice. It's a drama with Alex Vance. Of course I want to win first place. Who wouldn't want to be a star? This is so annoying. Who the hell wants to be a star? I'd rather spend my time catching ghosts. But this Stitch witch was well hidden, and I couldn't figure out who it was. My only option was to make myself a target. Ideally, I could make them direct all their efforts at me. That would be the fastest way to draw them out. Seeing that they had all gone to bed, I climbed into my own. My phone buzzed incessantly. Sophie had sent me a ton of videos, followed by a cheeky message. Luna, don't watch these. They're hate comments. I opened the first video. It had hundreds of thousands of comments. It was a clip of our group dance from tonight. Whoa, I didn't know Bruce Lee had joined a girl group. 228. Everyone else is doing a sexy floor wave. Luna Reed is doing a kip up. Luna Reed's gaze is more determined than someone taking an oath. Does anyone else get it? She's not dancing, she's doing kung fu. 355. That sideways body roll. Did Luna Reed just throw a set of arm punches? I think I even heard the air pop. Cursing, I threw my phone aside, pulled the covers over my head, and went to sleep. Luna, darling, wake up. I was sound asleep when I felt a tickling on my face. I forced my eyes open and found myself lying in a man's arms. Sharp eyebrows, starry eyes, handsome features. It was the top celebrity who had just given me a perfect score, Alex Vance. Darling, you're awake? Alex caressed my nose affectionately, then swept me up in a princess carry and walked to the living room. What do you want for breakfast? Hubby will cook for you. Cook my ass. Go to hell. I punched him in the face and instantly sat up in bed. Aya. What kind of disgusting dream was that? Who would dare to frame me like this? I got up and opened my eyes, only to find I was still in the dorm. Everyone else was fast asleep. A very gentle fragrance wafted from the desk. I got out of bed and walked over, discovering a quaint incense burner that hadn't been there before. 3 sticks of incense were burning inside. Scrabble, scrabble. As I was examining the incense, a round, lumpy thing rolled off my bed. The moment it hit the floor, it started scurrying along the wall, trying to slip out through the crack under the door. Trying to run? Swish. I threw a handful of ancient coins, blocking its path in all 4 directions. This round, gray, lumpy thing, which looked like a character from some video game, was called a nightmare beast. Don't be fooled by its harmless, even cute, appearance. Nightmare beasts are incredibly dangerous and can kill without a trace. It weaves a beautiful dream for you, making you kill yourself in your sleep. Slitting your wrists, jumping off a building, turning on the gas, or hanging yourself. An uninformed person would just think the deceased was sleepwalking or committed suicide, never suspecting anything else. And the incense I had just smelled was the nightmare beast's food. 1 part human ashes, 2 parts graveyard dirt, 3 parts hallucinogenic herbs, 4 parts of vengeful soul. A dark sorcerer uses these ingredients to create the incense, which is then used to feed the nightmare beast. Oh no, please don't. A soft, coquettish voice came from Yvonne's bed. A moment later, she sat up stiffly and walked barefoot toward the balcony. I ignored the nightmare beast on the floor and ran after Yvonne. Who is it? Let go of me. Why are you holding me back? Alex, I'm coming. Wait for me. Yvonne was desperately clinging to the balcony railing, trying to climb over. I wrapped my arms tightly around her waist to stop her from jumping. Our dorm was on the 3rd floor. A fall from here probably wouldn't kill her, but it would definitely cause serious injuries, requiring at least a few months in the hospital. This stitch which had raised more than 1 nightmare beast. It was impossible to guard against. Yvonne was in a trance and surprisingly strong. I managed to free one hand, bit my middle finger, and dotted the blood on her forehead. Let me go. Hey Luna Reed, are you a pervert? Why are you hugging me? Yvonne finally snapped out of it, screaming and clutching her chest as if I were some kind of creep. I rolled my eyes and hurried back inside. The nightmare beast hadn't run away. It was circling frantically around another nightmare beast, seemingly trying to save its companion. In that case, I might as well catch them both. Yvonne's screaming woke up everyone else in the dorm. She sobbed in Laura's arms, accusing me of trying to molest her in the middle of the night. I'm a woman. Yvonne cried even harder. That doesn't matter. It's still a crime. And I like men, which makes your crime even worse. What are those? They look like 2 fat rats. Jenna cried out, scrambling back onto her bed, clearly terrified by the 2 nightmare beasts. Yvonne finally stopped sobbing. Are you kidding me? I'm being molested, and you're all just staring at rats. If Luna Reed can molest me today, she can molest you tomorrow. Why aren't you calling the police? I had no time for her. I scooped both nightmare beasts into a cloth pouch. These things were extremely rare now. I'd have Sophie send them to my master later. She would definitely love them. Yvonne, you should listen to Luna's explanation. I'm sure Luna is not that kind of person. Seeing that I had secured the nightmare beasts, Jenna got out of bed again to comfort Yvonne. Yvonne wiped her tears and glared at me resentfully. Fine. Explain yourself. I'd love to hear what possible explanation you have for carrying me to the balcony in the middle of the night. In the spirit of public education, I gave them a detailed explanation about nightmare beasts. When I finished, there was a moment of silence. Then Yvonne started to laugh, her laughter growing louder and louder. I'm dying of laughter. Luna Reed, you can really spin a tale. I think you should be a screenwriter. You're wasting your talents in a girl group, seriously. I had expected them not to believe me, so I pulled out my phone. Ever since Sophie had used a hidden camera to expose that debunker, Ben Lin, she had become obsessed, buying tons of high-definition hidden cameras. She had stuffed a handful into my pocket after our late-night snack, like she was giving me candy. When I started playing the video on my phone, Laura panicked. "Luna Reed, this is an invasion of our privacy. Filming us without permission is illegal. I'm warning you, delete that video right now, or I'm calling the police." She was so agitated that even Yvonne noticed something was wrong. She stared at Laura suspiciously and said through gritted teeth, "What are you afraid of? I have a great body. You think I'm afraid of her filming me? Luna Reed, play the video. I want to see what happened." In the video, all 4 girls were fast asleep. At 1 in the morning, Laura suddenly sat up. She tiptoed out of bed, went to her cabinet, and took out a jar. It was an antique bronze incense burner. When she placed it on the table, she glanced warily at me. Seeing that I was still asleep, she lit the incense. Once the smoke began to rise, she went back to her cabinet and took out a box with a talisman pasted on it. She peeled off the talisman, opened the box, and 2 nightmare beasts jumped out, one after the other. One climbed onto my bed, while the other chose Yvonne. A little while later, the me in the video abruptly sat up and started shadowboxing, then jumped out of bed and caught the nightmare beast. A moment later, Yvonne also sat up, a lovesick smile on her face. Seeing herself climbing over the balcony railing, desperately trying to jump, Yvonne's face turned pale. Laura screamed and pointed at Jenna. "It was her. She told me to do it. She gave me these 2 monsters." Jenna was stunned. "Laura, what are you talking about? What does this have to do with me?" Seeing Jenna's reaction, Laura's face turned red with anger. She adopted a "if I'm going down, you're coming with me" attitude. "You're not going to admit it? Fine, then I'll tell them everything. Jenna told me that there was only one chance to act with Alex Vance, and that you and Luna Reed had a better shot than me. She said she only wanted to be in the girl group, to perform and sing, and that she didn't care about acting. Jenna also said her grandmother raised 2 monsters that could make you both jump off the balcony, and the police would never find out a thing. She gave me all this stuff. After something happened to you too, she and I were going to be each other's alibis, testifying that you both were sleepwalking and fell." Laura's words made Jenna burst into tears. She trembled with fear and anger. "Laura, I've never done anything to you. Why are you framing me like this? Luna, please believe me. How could I do something so horrible?" I pursed my lips and stared at Jenna. Almond-shaped eyes, a delicate nose, clear and elegant features. She looked like a gentle, kind and honest girl. A person's face doesn't lie. Unless, that wasn't her face. Laura and Jenna each stuck to their story, their words flying like swords. Yvonne's head swiveled back and forth like a bobblehead, forgetting to even be angry. As they were arguing, someone handed me a warm cup of milk tea. I turned to see Sophie, who had appeared out of nowhere. Not only did she bring milk tea, but she had also set out sunflower seeds and peanuts on the table. Let's see, from a face-reading perspective, this Laura has thin lips and shifty eyes. That's the look of a heartless and disloyal person. Yvonne nodded in agreement. Her family isn't well off. After she joined the competition, she ate my food and drank my drinks, calling me Sister Yvonne every day. I never thought she'd try to kill me behind my back. Sophie's tone shifted. But that's not how it works in TV shows. The villain is always well hidden. The killer is usually the person you least expect. Therefore, the killer is you. She stood up and pointed her finger at Yvonne, striking a classic detective pose. Yvonne's eyes and mouth were wide open, utterly speechless with shock. I sighed. "Everyone, stop arguing. Take off your clothes." "What? Luna Reed. I knew you were a pervert." Yvonne clutched her chest and shrieked. Jenna and Laura also hugged themselves tightly. Stitch witches are a generational tradition. They all have a very secret red and white soul stitch on their bodies. Red for life, white for death. A cycle of life and death, over and over. Whoever has a tattoo on their body is the killer. Hearing this, Yvonne immediately took off her nightgown. Laura hesitated for a moment, then also took off her pajamas. Finally, only Jenna was left. Seeing us all looking at her, Jenna grew flustered. "Luna, don't you think this is a bit humiliating?" Yvonne nodded. "Ido. But we were all humiliated. What makes you so special? I cracked my knuckles. Are you going to take it off yourself, or should I help you? You stay away. If you come any closer, I'll jump from here. Jenna clutched her chest in terror, backing away toward the balcony. Ptahaha. I'm sorry, I'm really not trying to laugh, but ahahaha. Your conversation is so familiar, Luna. You sound like a villain forcing yourself on an innocent maiden. Seeing she had nowhere left to retreat, Jenna's panic vanished, replaced by a cold sneer. Luna Reed, you forced me to do this. With that, she leaped, jumping straight off the third-floor balcony. Sophie and I rushed to the railing, but there was no sign of Jenna on the ground below. She had simply vanished into the night. The show had the contact information and home addresses of all the contestants. Besides, Jenna was from a wealthy family and many people knew her. By the time Sophie and I arrived at her family's mansion, it was still dark. I don't get it. Jenna seems so harmless. How could she be a stitch witch? Sophie had once again lost faith in her face reading skills. But it wasn't her fault, because Jenna's face wasn't her own. Among the white stitches, the most bizarre one is called twin soul stitching. The pattern is a taijutsu, a yin-yang symbol. The yang fish represents life, and the yin fish represents death. Yang is active, and yin is still. The person with the yang fish tattoo can swap bodies with the person who has the yin fish. She will grow to look like the yin fish person, living in the world with her face and appearance. The person with the yin fish, on the other hand, will become like a person in a vegetative state. Unable to hear, unable to speak, unable to move her body. She lives like a plant. But the two people in a twin soul stitch share a life, so the girl in the vegetative state must still be alive and well. Open up. Open the door. Sophie pounded on the door. Finding her too slow, I simply smashed a window on the side and jumped in. The commotion we made soon brought the owners of the house downstairs. What are you doing? Is this a robbery? If you don't leave, I'm calling the police. Miss Song. The man in a black silk pajama top looked at Sophie in confusion. Sophie, however, was pleased to see him. Oh, Director Jiang, this is your house? Jenna's father was a minor shareholder in Sophie's family company, and the head of 2 of its subsidiaries. Since he was an acquaintance, things would be easier. I breathed a sigh of relief and quickly asked him, do you have a young girl in your house? In a vegetative state. Hearing this, a woman in her 40s standing nearby froze. She was the Jiang family's live-in housekeeper, and her husband was their driver. You're here for Chloe? I didn't have time to explain. I grabbed Sophie and ran toward the girl's room. The girl's name was Chloe. She was the housekeeper's daughter. She was an excellent student and very sensible, and the Jiang family all had a good impression of her. Last year, Chloe had inexplicably come down with a high fever. After the fever subsided, she fell into a vegetative state. Chloe had been living with the Jiang family, and she and Jenna were very close. After the incident, Jenna had proactively suggested to her parents that Chloe continue to live with them, offering to use her own allowance to hire a caregiver. Chloe's parents were deeply moved. The couple worked tirelessly, using all their savings to pay for Chloe's nutritional supplements and nursing care. They didn't take Jenna's money. The honest couple felt that the Jiang family's willingness to let their vegetative daughter live there was a blessing in itself. I pushed open the bedroom door. Lying in the room was a pale, frail girl. She wasn't strikingly beautiful, but she had a certain delicate charm, with long, slender eyes and small, well-proportioned features. From lying in bed for so long, her body had become as thin as a skeleton, her skin a bloodless white. I walked over and lifted her clothes. Sure enough, on her lower abdomen, I saw a yin fish tattoo, but the pattern was incomplete. There was a raised scar on the tail. As long as I washed away this tattoo, Chloe knew the real Jenna could wake up. This yin fish was drawn with yin-natured substances, so something rich in yang energy could wash it away. And my blood contained the ultimate yang energy of long life. Just as I was about to bite my finger, a sharp, angry voice called out. Stop. What are you doing? Mr. and Mrs. Chun, are you just going to stand there and watch her kill your daughter? Jenna burst into the room furious. She stomped her foot and berated Chloe's parents before turning to her own. Dad, Mummy too. Why would you let strangers into the house? Seeing Jenna so angry, Mr. and Mrs. Chen grew nervous. Mrs. Chen even tried to explain. Miss, they said they could wake Chloe up. Nonsense. Didn't the doctor say? Chloe is in a vegetative state. She can't possibly wake up. As soon as she said this, Mrs. Chen turned pale and swayed. Her husband quickly caught her arm. Jenna's father shot her a disapproving look, then turned to Chloe's parents with a placating smile. Don't listen to Jenna. Chloe is so young, I'm sure she'll recover. Jenna stomped her foot in frustration. They're trying to harm Chloe, can't you see? This girl is a dark sorceress. She wants to put a spell on Chloe to blackmail you. Sophie, hold her down. I was tired of this guess who's the good guy, who's the bad guy drama. The endless explanations, the constant need to prove myself, it was exhausting. Sophie's status intimidated the Jiang family. Even when she tackled Jenna to the ground, Mr. Jiang only made empty threats and didn't dare to step forward. Ms. Song, please let go of my daughter. I bit my finger and smeared the blood on the girl on the bed. Her entire body was immediately shrouded in a black mist. Seeing this, Jenna screamed and struggled wildly. Sophie could barely hold her down. I ripped open her clothes and rubbed a powder made from ground-up wraith snakes onto her smooth abdomen. Wraith snakes are born from the death chi and yin chi of the dead. They usually only appear in mass graves and burial mounds. To wash away a yin fish, you use a yang object. To wash away a yang fish, naturally, you use a yin object. When I rubbed the powder on Jenna, she began to tremble violently, letting out a series of piercing screams. Jenna, are you okay? What did you do to her? Jenna's parents glared at me, a mix of shock and anger. Her mother even took out her phone and started dialing 911. Just then, the girl on the bed moved. The black mist around her dissipated, revealing her original face. She had picturesque features and a high-nose bridge. She looked like Jenna, but about 30 pounds thinner. She stared at me, first in a daze, then broke down in tears. Luna, you really came to save me. I sent you so many messages. You really came, sob. Everyone in the room was stunned. Jenna's parents rubbed their eyes in disbelief. Chloe's parents also had looks of utter shock. On the floor, Jenna, or rather Chloe, stopped trembling and sat up. She stared blankly at the girl on the bed, her eyes full of hatred and despair. It's all ruined. All my years of planning and effort. All ruined. Ms. Song, what on earth is going on? Chloe was the housekeeper's daughter. She was smart and did well in school. Her family used to live in a small village. Her father had come to the city to work and, being an honest and hardworking man, was lucky enough to be noticed by Mr. Jiang. After he became Mr. Jiang's driver, he brought his wife and daughter to the city. The glamour of the city completely dazzled Chloe. The things she had once been proud of seemed worthless next to Jenna's accomplishments. Jenna could play the piano, dance ballet, and ride horses. Her room was as luxurious as a princess's palace, and her closet was full of clothes that Chloe could only dream of. After years of being tormented by jealousy, the despicable and dark, Chloe finally made her move against Jenna. Hearing Sophie's analysis, Chloe's face twisted with anger. You're the despicable one. I earned all of this through my own efforts. Do you have any idea how hard I worked to learn soul stitching? Why was she born with everything, while I, who worked so hard, was just a housekeeper's daughter? Hearing this, Chloe's mother staggered and almost fell. Her husband quickly caught her. You secretly learned soul stitching from your grandmother? How many times did I tell you that it's an evil art? Anyone who learns it will come to a bad end. Did you forget how your grandmother died? Why would someone who learns soul stitching come to a bad end? I glanced at Chloe's mother, disagreeing with her statement. Soul stitching is a legitimate secret art. Red stitches are for blessings, wealth, and safety. White stitches are for disaster, curses, and bad luck. At its core, it's just a form of magic like Taoist arts. It can save people and it can harm people. It all depends on how the practitioner uses it. Chloe stood up and screamed hysterically at her mother. I'll tell you why I learned soul stitching. Because I was sick of being poor. I didn't want to be laughed at by my classmates for wearing patched clothes. I didn't want to have to hang my head in shame every time the class held a fundraiser. I didn't want to just envy others. I wanted to be envied. You always said that as long as I did well in school, everything would be fine. What's the use of doing well in school? The smartest person from our village just has a normal job, earns a normal salary, and worries about their mortgage their whole life. How can I buy luxury goods, live in a mansion, and drive a sports car by just studying? Some things, if you're not born with them, you'll never have them in this life. Slap. Chloe's mother slapped her hard across the face, sending her stumbling. Chloe gave a cold smile, looking like a cornered animal ready to bite. The white stitch is broken. The backlash is inevitable. I don't have long to live anyway. Kill me or torture me, do whatever you want. Hearing this, Chloe's mother panicked. She fell to her knees before me, crying and kowtowing. Master, master, please save my daughter. She's so young. She was just confused for a moment. Jenna was saved purely by luck. The caregiver responsible for her had accidentally spilled boiling water on her, damaging the tattoo. The caregiver, afraid of being blamed, had hidden the incident. After the tattoo was damaged, Jenna found that she could move for a short period each day, just for a few dozen seconds. That caregiver loved to scroll through her phone and watch my live streams. So, while the caregiver was asleep, Jenna used her phone to send me a message for help, along with her contact information. By the time I found Jenna, Chloe was using her body to participate in the reality show. A normal wealthy life was no longer enough for her. She wanted to be a star, to be in the spotlight. When she saw me, Chloe had a flash of inspiration. She decided to play along, planning to use me to get rid of the other contestants, and then frame me for it all. She just never expected me to be so resourceful, talented, brilliant, and clever. Your daughter wasn't just confused for a moment. I'd say this was premeditated. Sophie was disgusted by Chloe's actions. So what if you weren't born with it? There will always be people in this world who are prettier, richer, and younger than you. The poor want to be rich, the rich want to be richer, and the richer want to live forever. Desire has no end. Desire is meant to be controlled, not endlessly pursued. Your life may not have been wealthy, but you had more than enough. Being too greedy harms others and yourself. I couldn't help but roll my eyes. This damn filthy rich capitalist. How dare she preach to us from her high horse? Although what she said made sense, coming from her, with her family background, it sounded incredibly obnoxious. I wasn't going to help Chloe with the backlash. The cycle of karma, the law of cause and effect, that was her own doing, and she had to bear the consequences. After this incident, the Chun family obviously could not stay at the Jiang's house anymore. They packed their things with downcast faces. Before their taxi even arrived, Chloe had already vomited a mouthful of blood. The backlash from a white stitch causes the body to rot from the inside out, leading to massive bleeding. The stitch witch suffers for a full 7 days before dying. But she deserved it. Sophie and I stood at the door, watching them leave. Before they left, Mr. and Mrs. Chun knelt down and kowtowed toward the main gate. This honest couple had been ruined by their own daughter, and now they had to face the pain of burying their child. Jenna's family, on the other hand, thanked Sophie and me profusely. Jenna's mother held my hand, sobbing. My Jenna lay in bed for a year. She was wasting away. If it weren't for you, she would have been stuck in that bed for the rest of her life. Leaving the Jiang family's house, Sophie was a little down. Luna, why are people so greedy? I kicked her, sending her flying. Get lost. What right do you have to say that? I'll kill you, you damn rich pig. Hey, don't hit me, don't hit me. I have a big job for you. My master was recently building a demon-suppressing pagoda. She wanted to imprison the ghost mother we'd caught before, along with some of the other demons we'd recently captured. Building that pagoda was not cheap. Me, Leo, and our other apprentice, Clara, were all racking our brains trying to raise money. What big job? Tell me more. After resolving Jenna's situation, I naturally had no interest in debuting in a girl group. First thing in the morning, I went to the production team and withdrew from the competition. As soon as I quit, Sophie immediately passed her judge's seat to her cousin. To my surprise, many netizens were actually sad to see me go, saying my dancing was refreshing and energetic, and that it was even a little addictive after a while. Luna, I think you're about to get famous. Are you sure you don't want to stay in the girl group? Sophie held a bowl of fruit, followed by a person with a detestable face and a sleazy demeanor. Big star, I heard you have a big job. Can you bring me along? I rolled my eyes in disgust. Mo, what are you doing here again?